going to transition now into the presentation and the work with Esri. While Tom and Gary, Keith kind of get ready, I think they're going to swap out the computer a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background. You heard from Michael and his team all of the commitment that we're doing with Esri and adopting the ArcGIS server technology as part of our platform moving forward. We've been a partner, a very proud partner with Esri for a long, long time. We've worked with them on many projects. We're very, very deep in the integration with the Esri Roads and Highways currently, with many of you and your agencies. More and more work is coming on that. I think they've got a bit of a workshop, actually, kind of a main workshop. Pretty easy switch, huh?
So far, so good.
Okay. There you go. You duplicate. Okay. So I want to introduce to you to two people here that are going to be presenting. First is Gary Waters. Gary is National Account Executive for the transportation sector. He works with and really brings a lot of leadership in GIS and a lot of history in terms of where we've been with the DOT market in particular nationally in the U.S. And so he's going to be leading the conversation. Along with him, we have Tom Brenneman. Tom is a solution engineer.
Can't quite make it to that architect.
Oh, okay, not quite the architect. So, okay, all right. Well, so solutions engineer. We've been working with this duo for many years, and they've been very, very helpful in bringing our understanding of the benefits and the value that Esri has and how we can extend that benefit and extend that value to our user base. So with that, please welcome Gary and Tom.
Thanks. Well, good morning, everyone. It is very nice to be here. We, as Joe mentioned, have been working with Agile for quite a few years, and it's really nice to see the progress that we have made and kind of the roadmap we've put together for integrating these technologies. I want to start out by just giving some brief description of the ArcGIS platform. Our goal with integrating and collaborating with AgileAssets is to basically be able to leverage all of the capabilities that the ArcGIS platform brings to you and have it use the data that you're managing and storing in the AgileAssets systems. So whether you have 1 or 5 modules of the Agile data, we want you to be able to have that incorporated into your enterprise and be able to visualize it on maps and utilize any of the tools that are available in ArcGIS to work with that data. I'm assuming there might be some people interested in that out there. All right. I wish I knew more of you. You know, it's funny, we run in our circles in the GIS community. I don't always end up talking to all the asset managers and pavement engineers and traffic engineers and folks that utilize the Agile system. So I'm really excited to be here and kind of talk to a different audience. What we try to accomplish with the ArcGIS platform is helping maximize the systems of record. We would say AgileAssets is an incredible, rich system of record. There is all kinds of asset information that you are storing and managing, lots of activities, your projects, your maintenance activities, all those pieces of data are stored in that system, and we want to basically unleash them throughout the enterprise and allow you to use the ArcGIS platform to do that. We typically refer to a system of engagement using ArcGIS Online. By focusing on the geodatabase and ArcGIS server, we really have some nice methodologies to be able to integrate this data from all kinds of disparate systems. For the purposes today, and I believe we definitely share this view with AgileAssets of trying to create a very valuable total asset management lifecycle. From the time you design something to you put it in the ground to you have to operate, manage it, figure out what's going on, whether it's working, not working, and then start planning for what you may need to do next to either extend the life of that asset or replace that asset. I think of it as this asset management life cycle. The key to what we're being able to accomplish now with AgileAssets is focusing on the geodatabase and allowing it to store information that's used by a whole series of applications. The AgileAssets application and application suite is able to read and write that data into the geodatabase, and it allows that data to be used by a lot of other client types. So basically our demo today is going to go around this entire asset management lifecycle, and we're going to show you some technologies and capabilities that are just ArcGIS. But the thing I want you to keep in mind is all of the data that you work to maintain and build and sustain in the AgileAssets systems are available to be used in all of the environments that we show. We do have one highlight today. Tom is now going to be a solution engineer for AgileAssets. He's actually going to fire up their software and demonstrate it a little bit. I hope I'm not putting too much pressure on you there, Tom.
Now I have to actually do that.
Yeah, you have to do that now. Yes. Yeah. So it is always interesting because we demo our software all the time to get a chance to demo someone else's software. So we are going to do that. So I'm going to divert for just 1 minute, maybe a little off the beaten path, but just recently I was able to participate in a workshop that we did out in Utah. And for the first time that I'm aware of, we showed an integrated design environment with the GIS environment. I labeled this diagram and said, you know, typically you think of the design, build, construction happening in the CAD world, and then the GIS stuff is sort of where you do the rest of the operate and maintain and manage and plan. So it's always been interesting. I have little gaps there, and at GIST every year, I think it's in the top 3 requests. I want better CAD and GIS integration. So I've been on this mission for a couple of years to try to figure out how to make that work. And I found a software company, Carlson Software. They make design tools. We're hoping that we get to extend this to MicroStation and AutoCAD, which are much more prevalent. MicroStation really almost exclusively in the state DOTs. To be able to integrate and use this 3D geodatabase as the repository to help support the entire asset management lifecycle. So just bear with me for a second. I only have a couple of slides here. Carlson Software has tools that hook up to the electronic theodolites. So if you've ever been the person who was trying to get the survey data into the geodatabase or accessible to the AgileAssets system because they were surveying all of those assets you needed to attach work orders to or just manage, I have a solution for you here. They have tools, this is actually screenshots from their software that run in conjunction with the electronic theodolite. It gives you a 3D view of the data that you're capturing, and it can be written directly into the geodatabase so that it can immediately become a way to input information that the Agile system would be using. Just like you might use Collector or ArcGIS to input some of those assets, with this new integration we have, you would be able to use tools like this. Anything that writes to that geodatabase could be an input. So here's, like I said, the field populating directly into the geodatabase in 3D. Because it went into the geodatabase, we are then able to do things like, here's a screenshot of ArcGIS Pro editing some of those culverts that were surveyed in the field. So down there I have where's that, this thing? No.
What are you looking for?
Where's that little pointer?
It's right there.
This thing?
You got a top button.
That thing. And, huh? Trigger finger. I got it.
Don't shoot me in the head.
The sniper's on you. Yeah. So this split screen right here is just showing data from 2 perspectives. On this side, it's hard to see, but this data is showing. The data was edited in ArcGIS Pro and then visualized in the design environment. So again, very critical and a point we're going to be making about the integration of these systems. Data going from design through operations, maintenance, the Agile system, the ArcGIS system, all of this data can be used seamlessly across all of these environments. That's pretty cool, I think. Anyway, the reason I wanted to show you this is this is the first time I had ever seen this kind of demonstration. I've heard people talk about this, I think, for 10 years, and I've never seen anyone demonstrate it, and I got to watch it live. Unfortunately, this guy isn't going to be able to do that stuff. That's all right. He does a lot of other good things. Also in that geodatabase, we are able to manage things that are very important to DOTs. More and more, we're seeing mobile LiDAR used and collected to help with asset extraction and building of those databases. Obviously, imagery, people are constantly flying aerial photography of their project locations. All of this data, again, through the use of the geodatabase and ArcGIS server, can be brought into this environment seamlessly. There are also tools, if we're going to have a 3D environment throughout this entire life cycle, we need to be able to see things in 3D in the GIS environment. Here is a screenshot of some of those culverts. It's hard to see, that's actually the pipe there and the wall head, and you can see the drainage areas over here. I do have a demonstration, and this will be funny because I'm not usually the one demonstrating this, but let's see, we go to Firefox. And just to show you some of the City Engine viewer, full screen, hit play.
You did good.
Hey, I did pretty good there. I haven't finished, no, this mouse, oh, look at this. I've never done this with a mouse. I always have that touchpad. So this is 3D visualization inside of ArcGIS. This data, again, this could be the same information in the AgileAssets database that I am using to come in here, and I can start looking around this area, tilting, swiveling, all these features. So the pipe, I can touch the pipe, I see attributes about the pipe, and basically allows me to look at all of this data in 3D inside of I almost make myself get woozy when I start going underground and looking back up through the top there. Anyway, just wanted to show you the other side of the 3D display as well. So again, using that geodatabase, we're able to have a full 3D experience through design and the GIS side. So as you move out of the design world, in my asset management life cycle, you move over more into the build and commission. So again, the roads, the signs, the other assets are put onto the earth, and we now need a way to manage that data as well. So if it's not captured by survey, we have tools like Roads and Highways. Even if it's captured by survey, that information could be fed into Roads and Highways for managing the linear referencing system. For all of you work in DOTs, you know the critical nature of that linear referencing system. It is typically the backbone that allows you to tie all of your systems together. Roads and Highways is being implemented, I believe, now in about 30 states. This is showing just the LRS maintenance environment. It is important. We're not going to demonstrate that because we had so many other things to demonstrate, but wanted you to make sure that you knew that Roads and Highways was able to manage the linear referencing system. And while I'm here predominantly talking about the new activities and things we've been accomplishing with Agile, we've been doing the Roads and Highways integration for probably, what, 3 years? It's been an ongoing effort, and that integration has pretty much been figured out. Continuing with build and commission, some of our users have been using another portion of Roads and Highways called the Event Editor. We're hopefully getting ready to start a project up in New York where there's a combination of data that's being entered into the database through the Event Editor, which used to be called the Roadway Characteristics Editor. We just renamed it. I keep going back and forth with the names. But some people will enter typical roadway characteristics, and again, with this integration with Agile, we're now able to bring all of that data together very effectively. We also have a tool called Roadway Reporter, and again, a constant theme here is going to be all of the AgileAssets data is now available to be used in any of these kinds of tools. So if you're creating a road log report that just tells you what you're encountering as you drive down the road, or a mileage summary report for certified mileage, using Agile data and combinations of other data, all of this becomes possible inside this new environment we have. And we're going to pause for a moment here and let Tom
I'll try and actually show some of that.
Show us some of that.
Let's see.
so I have to earn my keep here. So my goal here is I'm going to start off. I have a couple of different demonstrations today, but the first one I'll start with is showing you some of these roads and highways tools and how some of this data could be used in conjunction with the Agile system. And I'll start off here, not with 3D view. This data that we're working with in that I have for this particular example comes from my home state of Indiana, God's country. But anyway, the point of this page that I wanted to show you is just this little embedded map, and it's a real simple thing. This isn't all that mind-blowing, but I think the important part of this is that this data that I'm visualizing in this little embedded map was created using ArcGIS Online. I just went in and authored a map and then embedded it in this website, and it includes some functional class data. So as I click on the roads, I get the functional class information for that section of road. The beauty of this integration is that data can be managed within roads and highways using the event editor that I'll show you in just a minute. It could be managed using the Agile system. It really doesn't matter. It's accessible throughout the environment. But what I will show you is how you could edit that data pretty easily in using the event editor in roads and highways. So I switched over here. I've got another tab, and I might be coming into work today, and I've been tasked with updating some of the data on this roadway. So I search for a particular route ID. I see the route there. I zoom in to it. We're from Esri. We have to show a map at every part of the process. That's just a general rule with our technology. So even if we search for a route, we're going to get some tabular results, but then we're going to show you that right in the map. And maybe I want different ways to search for that route. I don't know the route ID because that might be pretty complicated, but I know I'm supposed to be editing US 31 in Hamilton County northbound. So I could find the route ID that way. So a couple of different ways that you can search for the route. And then it's a matter of going in and starting to make my edits. Before I do that, I'm going to turn on my lane information. So lanes are one of the things that I'm responsible for maintaining on this roadway. And each one of these configurations of the event editor is configured for data owners within the organization. So in this case, I'm the data owner for lanes, functional class, and some other information. So it's been configured for me here. So I'm going to turn on lanes, and that will draw the lane information in the map. And then I'll go back and just start editing along that particular route. I'm going to edit some of the lane information. Now, I put in two measures. I put in 0 to 3. That's the start of the route to measure 3 along that route, and I'll zoom in there. That's one way to do data entry, and that's if you've edited linear referencing data before, that's how you enter roadway characteristics information. But of course, again, we always have map interaction, so I can specify the measure location by just typing it in or by clicking somewhere in the map. And so I'll put in, just take that to mile point 3, and then I give it a particular point in time. Everything is time aware, so this is when this change happened in the real world. This is the effective date for this change. And the same thing when I talk about if this data that's managed within the Agile system, the same thing is true. We can pass this data information back and forth. And then I'm going to put in some information. So I have a data input form, again, designed for me. I'll pull in the existing attributes for that section of road. And maybe I'm going to change the functional classification for that road and increase the number of lanes. This happens to be the road that I take to the airport every time I fly, so this could be wishful thinking, but that is how you might change that section of road, and that's it. So if that's all the edits that I need to do today, I close the browser, I'm done, I go home. But if I have some other edits, it automatically assumes that I'm going to walk down that route and make a couple of different changes here. I can enter data in a different way, so I could turn on my reference markers, and again, maybe say I want this next edit to go to US, the mile marker 128 on that section of road. So to do that, it's just a matter of changing my input method to, not road intersection, but reference post offset. And I could click on that reference post, or I could type it in, whatever. The point here is that you can see there's a big drop down. I'm not going to go through each one of these because we only have so much time. But the point is you have a lot of data input mechanisms to get this data into the system, and it takes care of translating it to the appropriate measurement system behind the scenes. So I can do an offset from there and then update this. Why stop at 4 lanes, right? Let's make it 5. I should put speed limit in here too. I'd really like it to be about 80 through there. But there we go. So there's updated the roads for that section. And notice that I did all that as of the 1st of the month. The entire system is time aware, so I can roll it back, see what it looked like before that change, see what it looks like now. Not only see what it looks like, but do GIS analysis against that data. So all of that is possible in this environment. Now, if I go back to my original map, there was a reason I zoomed in on this particular portion, and that's because I just edited this aspect, this information on the roadway. So now if I zoom in and click there, I see the new functional class information that I just entered into the system. The point here is all accessible via web services and all available throughout the entire organization. Now I want to switch and talk about how you can use this data, whether it's managed using the event editor that I just showed here, or whether it's managed in the Agile system. You can take that data and use it in we're calling it Roadway Reporter is the name of this application. It's a way to build mileage, road log, and segmentation reports. I remembered all 3 today. It's my second demo of the day. First one I forgot the 3 types. It was very embarrassing. But here I'm going to zoom in, or I'm going to go into the folder for Indiana. Now, this is my folder for Indiana here in this web page, and it's important to look at this entire web page. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see my name, Tom at Esri. That's my identity in the system, and so that I'll get back to this throughout because you'll see this up in the upper right-hand corner. That's going to track me throughout the entire system, and that's how I can collaborate with other people. I can build reports in this case, share them with someone else in my organization, and use data from others within my organization. You might hear this term system of engagement. The idea is that this is a system that not only allows you to get at the authoritative data that exists in Agile or Esri or whatever, but it allows you to engage with that data and engage with the other people in your organization to get a better understanding of what's happening there. In this case, I might build a report. So this is the report builder application, and this is just a mileage report. It's pretty simple. It's a web-based interface for authoring these reports. I'm not going to go through all the details of it, but just keep in mind this is how you would get at authoring those reports. You don't have to be a database administrator or anything else like that. And the result is something like this that I can download and share in my organization. And I know this isn't the flashiest. It doesn't have a map, sorry, but I know all of you use Excel.
How many use Excel?
They all use Excel. Everyone uses Excel. There's your data in Excel, and I might have put some filters on it or whatever like that. And now I can build my own report inside of Excel and maybe start to share that throughout the organization. I might share it of course, I have to show you a map with ArcGIS Maps for Office. So ArcGIS Maps for Office can then take that report data and create a map out of it. Now it's a little flashier, right? This demo is getting a little bit better than it was before.
And you're in Excel there.
I am still in Excel, and I'm mapping that that roadway information that came out of the system. And if you scroll over to the right here a little bit, you can see I've got a lot of mileage report information in here. I have all from my functional class summaries that may have come out of, or I might be managing using the event editor, but I also have some pavement quality information that I might be managing in the Agile system. And I have some other information on median and so forth. The point is all this data can be pulled together. I can report on it in something like Excel. I can include additional information. So ArcGIS Maps for Office allows me to geo-enrich that data, so I can add population information to that data. And there I have an idea of how the population is going to change over 5 years. And now I can push all of that back out to my organization using using these maps. And here, I'll show you. I can even take it. I could take it offline here. So maybe I want to put something on, access this data via my iPad. So there's this data on my iPad, and I can click on the greatest county in the United States, Hamilton County, and I can see some reports of that same information, a breakdown of the pavement quality in that area, and I can investigate that in, as compared to neighboring Boone County. Still pretty good. But there's the grade information and so forth. So I have access to that data no matter what device that I'm working with. And I can also create a dashboard out of that exact same data. So here I've got a dashboard. And one of the things that I said before, but once again, I'm logged into the system. That's how I'm accessing this data. This application is called the Operations Dashboard. It's a part of our GIS portal, but the point is that it's a mechanism for communicating all of this important information around the entire organization, no matter which one of our software products is ultimately managing that. The last thing I wanted to show is the integration between, or the synchronization between the Agile system and Esri Roads and Highways. And I'll go back to my iPad to show you that. Here I've got a little application that has a slider on it. And the map that I'm showing here, if you look right in the middle, there's an accident that happened, a crash that happened right here on the map. And right at that location is where the road is being realigned. So if we look at after the realignment, you'll see that crash disappears. And the important thing is that in the real world, we retired that road and we put in a new realignment. Well, if I do that edit in Roads and Highways, I need to synchronize that with all the other business systems that exist in my organization, like Agile. And they are a great example of how that synchronization is possible. So through web services, they can effectively update their safety system to make sure that crash is retired along with the date that the road was retired on it. And likewise, the crash that's downstream of that, even though the underlying linear referencing system has changed, stays in its same physical location. So it doesn't modify. But its linear referencing information, linear referencing system information does update accordingly. So I wanted to make sure you saw that to see that is a level of integration, and there I got my pop-up to show. But that's what the linear referencing system looked like before. You can see the second field there is the measure. It's 1.90 before, and that's what it looks like after. It's 1.91. So the linear referencing information for that asset has changed in the Agile system based on the change that was made within Roads and Highways. With that, I'll turn it back to Gary. Here, I'll get your slides set up for you.
I needed that help. You didn't hit all the buttons, though. So just to drive home that point about the integration with the Agile Asset System and roads and highways, for those of you that haven't had the linear referencing system in your organization connected to the Agile system, you're probably aware of some of the pain points of having these major systems get out of sync with the linear referencing system. These tool sets that are available in roads and highways that Agile has taken and incorporated into their capabilities allow that process to be automated. So it can tell you what data is going to change and allow you to verify it, make sure it's okay, and then update your databases electronically so you don't have to do any manual updates. So a very important thing, if you've ever had to do these kinds of things manually, you would know just how much time and effort you might spend trying to keep your systems synchronized with the linear referencing system. So I want to move on just a little bit. We've spoken a little bit about ArcGIS Online and kind of characterizing it as a system of engagement. This ArcGIS Online interface gives you a portal that you can use to catalog all of your data, all of your applications, basically anything that you need to access throughout your enterprise. And part of the next demonstration that we're going to show is that integration and use of the system of engagement for incorporating the Agile applications and sharing data back and forth between the environments. I think you might have seen a demonstration. It might have gone in a little bit different order than what we're going to do today, but we're going to use the collector application, the operations dashboard, and then Tom's going to show his skills with the AgileAssets software and show data moving seamlessly among all of these environments in the same geodatabase. I'm curious how many of your organizations are using Collector? Okay. I've been just astounded at the adoption rate of Collector across the state DOTs. It's been just remarkable from my standpoint. The thought 3 years ago of DOT employees out in the field with tablets and phones collecting and inventorying assets seemed a little far-fetched to me, and now I'm watching it happen over and over again. So it's pretty interesting. Tom, that was really quick, and you're already back up here. Sorry.
All right, fine. Okay. Here, let me switch over there. All right, so what I'll show you here is a little bit different view.
So this is going to highlight some of the work that we're doing right now to really tightly couple ArcGIS Server and the geodatabase with the Agile systems.
So once again, I'm signed in. I'm signed into my organization, and now when I'm signed in, I have actually a lot of the content for this demonstration organized in my own little personal portal. So this is my own dashboard for my organization. So I have the applications that I'm used to, that I work with regularly here in my favorites. And one of them is as a manager. Now I'm going to put on the hat of a manager. Feels pretty good. A manager of maybe some sign inventory operations that are happening out there. I open up a dashboard for my sign inspections, and I can see, I'm zoomed in on a particular area here, but I can see some of the data that's being inspected out there in the field. I can classify my data based on what are things that are categorized as non-functional versus new. I can highlight those and maybe from that start to make some decisions. Now,
and that data is coming from?
That data those are assets within the Agile Assets system. So I'm looking directly at the exact same asset database that exists within Agile Assets. And that's what makes this a little bit different than just another Esri demonstration of our dashboarding capabilities. Those are the assets that we're managing inside Agile. So I'll get back to that here in just a second.
I'm going to give that a little.
Thanks. Yeah, it's not a lot to show with that, but
you guys over there.
yeah, good job. Yeah, it shouldn't be directed this way.
That's right.
I just made the dashboard that points at it. But while I'm working with that data, or viewing that data here in the dashboard, come on. There we go. There is my iPad. So now I'm a field worker, promoted. I've been promoted to a field worker. So I'm going to go out in the field and inspect some of these signs. And maybe the first thing I see that while I'm out there in the field is that there really should be a sign here that I don't see in my system at the intersection of Beacon and 20 there. So I'm going to just click on that. I'm going to click on the map. Maybe. If I had my GPS, it would be a little bit easier. And I put in whatever information I want on that. I'm not going to fill out a whole lot of this, but I'll say, hey, this is a new sign there. And I'll submit that.
And where's that data going?
That data is going into the Agile system. So that's now an asset within Agile, just like it is accessible here within the Collector app on my iPad. Now, I can look at another asset. So maybe this, I'm a little clicking impaired today. I'm maybe down at this sign, and I'm going to inspect this one and say, you know what, I'm going to edit that. And I don't have my GPS turned on. That's not just poor, it's non-functional. So we need to do something about that particular sign, 43117. I'll go ahead and update that.
And where's that data going?
It's going into the Agile system.
It's kind of a theme.
You're like the Madden to my Summerall. That's great. All right. All right. So we're back here at the as now I've been demoted to get back to a manager, and I can see what's going on out there in the field. I can highlight the non-functional, and I can see that one's highlighted of what was the work that was just collected out in the field. I can look at that one and say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and create a work order for that particular sign. So it's non-functional, so it needs to be replaced.
Should we do a drum roll?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure here. Kingsley, you're standing by, right, in case I get stuck? All right, good.
And how did you get there? You clicked it so fast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll go back. So I went back here to my dashboard, and I clicked on I clicked on Agile, and I went ahead and put my identity in there. And sure, all this stuff is right. I have a lot less commentary for this because this is the first time I've done this demo, so we'll see if I do any good. So I'm going to create a new work order. So create new there, and this page will load, showing me my current work orders in this particular area. And I could say, you know what, that's great. I like all those, but I want to insert a new one. And in here, I'm going to specify this is a other road asset. This is a sign. Good.
Kingsley, you did a good job of teaching him how to operate the software.
It's a wizard. It's a wizard. So
it's a wizard.
It's simple to use. One email, and I was good to go. And I'm saying that we need to install a new sign here, so I'll install that sign. And I'm going to identify that sign in the system. And so to do that, here, I'll take that off. And I know this is kind of a subtle point, but this is what is working because it's all the same data. That's the asset that I just inspected. It's asset, and it's showing up here in the Agile system. So that's the integration. And when I go ahead and I think I might have just screwed that up. There we go. I got it? I just click OK? Yep. There we go. And, oh, awesome. I did it right, I think. So far, so good. I have to put in a plan amount. Let's say that's 5. And I have to give it a work date. And that's going to be today. And I'm good to go. There, I've got a work order that I just created on that asset that I inspected using the Collector app for ArcGIS. Oh, I got to save my data. Thank you. Whew. All right. Watch me pull a rat out of my hat. Okay, back to you, Gary.
All right. Good deal. You know, there's one more button you have to push to get the thing to get. Oh, that's fine. All right. So some of the other areas, and again, just remember that the goal here is to allow any of the data in the Agile systems to participate in the ArcGIS environment. Some of these next screenshots are just general capabilities. This one actually is a new one we're about to release. It's a business intelligence tool called Insights, and it will allow you to do all kinds of charting and graphing and spatial analysis against any of the data that you might have in any of these systems that end up in the geodatabase. So a lot of you may have implemented business intelligence tools. This one is going to be very spatially enabled, as you might imagine, since it comes from us. It will incorporate lots of spatial analysis. Some of the benefits of that may be that it keeps you from having to cook your data so much to go into the data warehouse or the business intelligence environment. Is there any HPMS coordinator in here? Are there any HPMS coordinators in here? I met him once. Yeah. Well, I always bow down to HPMS coordinator, so I guess I don't have to officially bow down, although I think your folks produce the HPMS, don't they, Dave? Yeah. So I'll bow down to you. Interestingly enough, we have found that HPMS, while we believe it should be a systemic organizational effort, oftentimes ends up being the heroics of one or two individuals. And if you haven't ever been engaged in that report generation, just run from it if you have the opportunity. I can assure you that the data that you're maintaining in the Agile system is contributing significantly to the HPMS report. There may be other business systems, and the HPMS coordinator is trying to incorporate all those together, get them onto a consolidated linear referencing system, and submit it to the federal government so you can receive money. We have some HPMS tools, again, by having this new integration level with AgileAssets. This environment should be, or this report should be much, much easier because that data is going to be synchronized, sustained, and managed in a way that helps with the linear referencing system and the data that might be coming from other systems. I'm sure some of you have probably recognized the challenges of going to the all public roads network environment that has recently been mandated by the feds as part of HPMS as well. We've been doing a lot of work to figure out how to create sustainable, collaborative, mutually editing environments between the states and their local constituents. And this just shows a whole plethora of tools that we've developed and built to create and sustain, probably more importantly, that work to keep an all-roads network database together. By putting all of this data in roads and highways, it is now available, again, to attach assets and information to inside the Agile system. Again, this integration really helps with the collection of data wherever it's coming from because we're all pointing to the same data sources. There's also tremendous pressure now. I believe it's mandated for every transportation agency to submit an asset management plan. Again, by getting all of this data incorporated together in the instances when you have other business systems that need to be pulled in, we can help with those kinds of things by using the GIS to incorporate data. I couldn't figure out where else to put a straight line diagram in my whole presentation, so I just slapped it in here. I love those things. They are like the best way to visualize transportation data, I think. And again, by getting all of this information into an accessible ArcGIS geodatabase, there are lots of partners that have built straight line diagrams that you could visualize your AgileAssets data in. Another area that the FAST Act and MAP 21 really initiated was kind of a different look at what you might be doing with your assets, and that is performance measurement. They're trying to, and starting to look at where the dollars are going and what is coming out the other side. It's not just a matter of looking at condition now, but how things are improving across a whole series of areas. So they're looking at environmental and safety, freight movement, all kinds of pavement, all of the different performance metrics that the feds are starting to require. And this is a great system for using something like the operations dashboard that Tom showed for looking at that information. So I'm getting a little bit far. So we've done some operating and maintaining. Next, we might start into the area of the asset management lifecycle for identifying need and planning. We have built a whole series of solutions to help with this process, all the way from collecting proposed projects from local governments or regional governments or your district offices or the various business units, whether it's safety or environmental or freight or pavement, drainage, whatever area is contributing to the potential projects that you might put into your STIP. We've built tools to help pull that into a database. So whether it's pulling some of that information that the Agile system does analysis and suggests maybe the 100 top places that you might do pavement work. That information could be put into a system in conjunction with all of the drainage suggestions that have been made. And we can start doing spatial analysis and pairing up drainage and safety and pavement all together so that you can start bundling and making projects that are really getting you the biggest bang for your buck. Our planning solutions go all the way through that STIP creation, how you report these things out, the analysis of figuring out and doing trade-off analysis, prioritization. So it gives you a nice, robust area to analyze data coming from multiple systems. So Tom, I'm going to let you demonstrate some of these capabilities.
Yeah. Let me get the right browser here. There we go. That's not what I want to show. I'd like to start off just showing that the analysis that you can do on your network. So one of the benefits of having all of this data integrated in one environment is that I'm able to take that data and start to analyze it in a real way and create real information products that you can make decisions for or decisions with. One part of that is gathering input from the public. So the GIS is a great way to take data that's coming in from the public and allow them to submit changes or issues that they have seen in the out there in the real world. And so they can come in and say, you know, something like, I want a bike lane here, and they can drop that on the map. They could say, I want it right there. That's where they want to put that in. And then they can submit that, and the GIS says, thank you, great job. But the important thing is that on the back end, someone is able to take that data and use that within their decision-making process. So I can see there is the comments that came in from the public, but I might use that in conjunction with some other work that I'm doing within the organization. Those are simple points on a map, but the point is that that's going into a system that has additional analysis like this. So this is a crash report or a crash analysis, safety analysis that was done for Indiana using a wide variety of roadway characteristics information, pavement information, and traffic volume information. So multiple systems of data being pulled together and analyzed within this context. Now I can start to make decisions between the safety analysis that I've done at this level and the citizen input that's happening. And all of the data for this, you know, might be coming from within roads and highways in the Esri environment, or that might be coming from the pavement system within Agile. It doesn't matter. All within this environment, you can analyze it and have a simple, effective map that shows you, oh, these are the segments. You know, this segment right here is an area where I have a high return on investment for a safety perspective. Whereas the green segments, not so much. So maybe I should be focusing on those red and black areas more than the green areas. The idea is that all this data comes together, I can analyze it within the GIS and make good decisions from that within the planning process. From there, I can take those projects and maybe submit them to a centralized environment. So here's an application that is in production in Massachusetts for submitting the projects that exist or that are coming from the districts and MPOs. So they might be doing that analysis and then submitting these projects through this environment. The key of this application is that it gives a spatial submission for that project that allows the system to go out and analyze all the information that the DOT has for that particular project location, whether that data exists, again, in Agile or in Esri. All that gets pulled together in one step and analyzed within this environment. And then it's up to the person submitting it. The person submitting it then sees that information during the submission process. Let me say that again. The person submitting the project sees all the data from both the Esri and the Agile system during the submission process. In many of the states that we interact with, that process is about 90 months. Yeah. You know, in case one example was 90 days. This is within a minute of the submission process. I see all that data getting pulled together for a particular project location. That's a pretty powerful concept. And then from that, I can see all those projects within a larger portfolio and be able to start looking at, all right, now that I've pulled all that data together, maybe I can do some different scoring algorithms on that data and look at maybe the list of my projects based on score and then start to evaluate, well, how would this portfolio of these 3 projects stack up in the categories of road quality, safety, and capacity? I can start to analyze those in a common framework and maybe start adding things to my portfolio until, well, I run out of money. But now I can start to make good decisions on the portfolio of projects that make sense for my state because all of this data has been integrated and pulled in for all of these projects that have been submitted. So that's kind of a whirlwind tour of the applications that we apply to the planning process, whether it's network analysis, project submission, or portfolio optimization, which is what you see here, to kind of round out the planning process. All right, back to you, Gary.
All right. Still didn't hit that button.
It's your job.
All right. Another area that has been fairly new that we've been working with Agile on is helping support them in the delivery of ArcGIS-based solutions. So as we've done a better job of integrating our technologies together, Agile is also expanding their service delivery capabilities so that they can deliver these kinds of solutions. So when you need help with something like Collector or an operations dashboard, you can go to AgileAssets and they are the experts at their systems. So the ability to use that data is really maximized by their service offerings. And I'm very happy to see that coming about as well. It just, I think, strengthens our partnership and the ability to deliver these nice integrated environments that I think everyone has been clamoring for. We talked about the system of engagement, and we're going to close just with some other capabilities and uses of the ArcGIS platform to present data and utilize data. And again, keep in mind, everything that we're showing you is basically available using the Agile data. That is the really big change that we're here talking about today. Previously, we struggled sometimes with making sure we got all that data into the ArcGIS environment and available to all of these tool sets. So,
yeah. I'm back up.
You're back up.
Okay.
This will count as your squat exercise for today. I know you've been doing more of those lately.
So that's good. I'm getting very healthy here. Okay, so I have a couple more examples to show you for just to kind of close things out, show you how some of this data can be used together. And the examples I'm going to show come from this this story map of examples that we have. It's publicly accessible. We'll make sure you have access to it. It's on our GeoNet site. So if you go to the Departments of Transportation GeoNet site, there's a link for this examples in transportation, and they showed just what's happening around the country in these different areas. So who's doing a lot with open data, using some of these tools for open data? And yesterday we were meeting with TxDOT, and they showed us their new open data site. So I thought we should highlight it here. And this is what that site looks like. So imagine you have all of this data that's being managed, by Agile, by Esri, and it's coming together through web services through this open data portal. In this case, that is being published by TxDOT. And now this is open data, and you might think, oh, that's great. I'm making it so people can download my pavement information, and what are they going to do with that? Well, they might be a consultant that's working in this area, and now they don't have to involve your staff in getting the data for a particular project that they're doing. Or they might just be another department within your DOT that is just accessing this information. So it's internal and external access. But I might drill into this and say, I want to look at the highway information, and I see all the different data sets that are available here. I'm really interested in this pavement data. Now, I clicked on highway designations. There's pavement conditions. That's what I wanted. And I see some different pavement condition information. I see a description of some metadata for that. A metadata demo, always a real crowd pleaser. But some of the exciting things, I think, is that I can take this and automatically download it in whatever format I want. So if I want to take this and download this data into my own spreadsheet, I can do this here. And it's read directly from the web services. This isn't like cached data that we're putting out on the website. This could be coming directly out of the Agile system, and I can download it into a CSV and go. I could also have an API reference for it. So if I want to build an application, I can get a GeoJSON link to that, and away I go. I can also start to investigate that data a little bit more right here. So maybe I want to get an idea of the pavement condition information broken down into different categories. I can see that here. I can take that, and what if I want to have a web page that shows this chart, and that's live against the data that's living inside of Agile? Well, I click this button and copy this link and embed that in my website, and now I've got this chart that's data-driven. It's not a snapshot. This is an image. It's data-driven from what's happening in the back-end systems. That's pretty powerful. And I can even come over here and maybe start to do some filtering, filter it by maybe just a specific set of records. Maybe I just want to see the data that exists within the current visible extent. I can do that as well, and start to investigate that data a lot more. There we go. Filter by my map view, and then zoom in on the map. Zoom in on where's the? Oh, there's Austin. So this is the pavement condition information for Austin, and now I could just download the data. You see here, I can get just the filtered data set, so I can get just the data in this particular area. And then I can start to build charts on the data in this, just in this area. So it's a pretty powerful idea, is that this isn't just a data download site. This is a way to start investigating the data, filtering the data, and getting right at exactly what I want, no matter what the back-end system is for that data. The next thing I wanted to show you is just who's using these GIS portals around the state. And it was kind of if you probably heard of the U-Plan effort. We started an effort with these GIS portals in Utah, and as you can see from this map, it has expanded quite a lot. This doesn't include all the portals at state DOTs, but it is most of them. A lot of them are private, so they're just not publicly accessible. But I wanted to show this one, Idaho. I think they've done a really good job with their their GIS portal. And this is a place where I can go in and I can start to see the web applications, I can start to see the inventories of data, and now that data is accessible throughout the entire organization. Last thing I wanted to show you is just some applications, a couple of applications area. One is for Los Angeles. They've done a pretty good job of making, not just making their data available, but building information products on top of that data that makes it usable by the public. And this is this Streetwise application. Here it is. So you've probably seen these project viewers at DOTs. This is just another example, another kind of take on the project viewer. But it allows someone to click on the map or put in their address and see the projects in that specific area. So it says these are the projects in that area, maybe close to you, and now citizens can start to drill into those projects, get more info on those projects, get all the details on what's going on. So in just a couple of clicks, someone from the public got from a location to all the projects near them, categorized by the distance from them, and then they took that and got more information right into the detailed project listing for that. So within 3 clicks, I got to that information. Compare that with a lot of other open data sites and public information sites that are out there that usually provide, something like a Excel or a CSV dump of what's going on in their projects with milepost information on it. Those are 2 examples of open data. But one is, I'd say, a little bit more actionable and meaningful to the person that's asking the question of what's going on near me from a project perspective. So just kind of a quick whirlwind tour of some examples of what can be done with a fully integrated GIS system. And again, we're sharing all this story map that has all these examples, so you can feel free to take a look at that and see some other examples that are out there. Thank you.
Well, now you're not even hitting the button.
Yeah,
I tell you, it's hard to get good help sometimes these days. All right. Well,
I probably should have turned off. There we go. Let's ignore Mansour.
Oh, you can't ignore Mansour. So really, that was what we wanted to show to you today. I hope that you were able to follow us through that entire asset management lifecycle. Obviously, we didn't go back to the design world from the planning world, but I hope you got that all of this data is available in the geodatabase and available through web services through ArcGIS Server, which means that those design tools that I started off with can access any of the information as it's been maintained and operated and changed possibly throughout the other parts of that asset management lifecycle. So with that, I will open up if anyone has any questions or comments. Otherwise, we managed to squeeze all that in and even make up for starting late by leaving early.
I'm going to get a microphone here. I'm sure there's
Okay.
lots of interest in this topic, so I suspect we'll have some questions.
All right. I did want to give a shout out to David Armstrong just because he's the only other guy I see in here that has a tie on. Thank you, David.
Okay, so what do people think? What ideas are running through folks' head? What either directly because of your engagement with the Esri tool set, or what the sense that your agency may find this valuable from the GIS department perspective? Any thoughts?
There's one.
Yes, Michael.
What kind of effort can we anticipate in terms of changing over from the existing AgileAssets database structure, specifically for the LRS, to being able to use Esri roads and highways?
Okay, so you're currently maintaining the LRS through the Agile tools in?
That's one way we are, yes.
Okay.
I'm from Virginia. We have a
Yeah,
homegrown
RNS.
LRS.
Oh, I'm very familiar.
You know
with
RNS.
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, so a roads and highways project, there are certain facets of it that have the biggest impact on the implementation. The state of the data, the actual linear referencing system data, is the number one thing we look at first when we're trying to ascertain what it's going to take to get migrated over. Tom has actually processed some of your
Yeah,
data.
the RNS data.
Yeah. I think we did, was it 465? What was that road? What's the road that goes out of Virginia a little ways and it goes all the way across the state? We did
There's a
that one
couple of
because,
them.
was it?
I hope it wasn't 460. That's in bad
460.
shape. It was 460?
Yeah.
Okay, that's in bad shape, so it'd be interesting to hear what it took.
It worked.
It did work.
It
Okay.
worked. And one of the reasons we were doing it is there always is a challenge when people start doing that integration that I spoke of earlier, where they're trying to synchronize a business system with the LRS as an edit is made. And part of our purpose for doing 460 was it was a very long route. We wanted to edit at the very beginning of it, have those changes ripple through 380,000? I can't remember. There was some number, and it finished in 6 minutes, was it?
Something like that,
Something like 6 minutes, which for most people that would be mind-boggling because that's like a 5-month process to get 460 straightened out. So anyway, I'm getting off the subject. The data quality is the first thing. From there, it's the business system integration. When you're integrating with components or systems like Agile, that's becoming much, much easier because they've built a default integration between roads and highways. If you have some other system, a safety system that is not ever been designed to work and you don't have access to the code, then that becomes much more difficult and costly. But most of the roads and highways projects, I would say, have been in the like 6 to 18-month process recently. I don't see any reason why you couldn't convert, at least get the roadway inventory and LRS editing done in Virginia in an 18-month time frame, soup to nuts, completely converted. Now the integration with the other systems might be subsequent phases, but to get that basic LRS environment over, and I know I'm a sales guy, I shouldn't throw out numbers maybe all the time, but.
If I may ask a follow-up question, I'm specifically concerned about roads and highways in terms of replacing the existing LRS data structure in Pavement Analyst. Does it replace it, or is it ancillary to it? In other words, do I still use setup network lines, or am I referencing something totally different?
Okay. There you go.
That's probably better.
Hold on, we've got some folks online maybe as well, so. I should have said that was Michael Kahn, Virginia DOT, Phil Hardy, Agile Assets.
Yeah, Michael, the current method you're using now with the LRS gateway and you're loading up those buffer tables that come into it, it works the exact same way, just that those guys are loading up the buffer tables for you. And the 6 minutes he was talking about is usually about how long it takes to load up the buffer tables. The underlying thing's the same. So what comes out of LRS gateway is exactly what you have now. No change at that level.
Thank you, Phil. Any additional questions for our partners of Esri?
Yeah, stay close, Phil.
Yes. One moment. Dave Blackstone, Ohio DOT.
Hey guys, for the demo where you did the sample, used the collector to place a sign within the asset.
Yep.
Was that a direct connect? Was that a web service? What was actually used to do that?
Oh, good question. So, what was used when I did the collection and collector of the sign? What was used there to make that happen? And basically, it's web services. So now out of the Agile system, they publish a feature service of their assets, and then within your GIS portal, you take that feature service, you create a web map, and then that web map can be opened in Collector.
Okay.
So it's a web service integration with that data.
And does it currently work, whether it's offline or online? Any limitations? If it's, some states still have some places where there isn't complete cellular connection. So if I'm out there with the collector, what's the issues there? How do I sync that up?
Well, the data that exists in the Agile system, and I should be clear that what you saw there is what's currently being developed. So that's not a production system yet, right, guys? Yeah. So, I mean, some of those things are in flux right now, but it does support the capabilities of the geodatabase. I mean, those signs were a feature class in the geodatabase. And what that means is that you can enable offline mode with that data. So it's no different than anything else that's inside of any other features that are in the geodatabase.
Okay. And what's the dependencies as far as what versions of software is this being developed on, both Esri-wise as well as Agile-wise? Is this a 10.4?
Yeah, that's not a question for Esri. That's because from our perspective, it doesn't matter because it is web service integration and we're backward compatible as far as that goes. So that's just what version are you developing the current?
I think we're going to bring a microphone
Still.
over. I started hearing someone's, I think Kingsley. Kingsley, product manager for Agile Assets.
On the Agile side, it is coming in the next version. So it's be 7.2 that's coming out next year at the end of Q1. There's no dependency on the Esri side.
Okay.
Thank you, Kingsley. It's okay. We have Trish from Minnesota Department of Transportation. Trish.
What do you guys recommend as the best way to get high accuracy inventory data using ArcGIS or Collector?
You want me to answer that?
I can do it too. You want to give it a try? I tell you what, if I get it wrong, you can. So high accuracy data collection, well, Collector supports that you can basically connect it to high accuracy GPS receiver and go out and do that came in the very latest release of the Collector application. If you're using it, you'll probably see in the lower left corner now, it reports the accuracy, and so it can pull in the full GIS feed from the GPS, and it can do all the data the real-time correction information with that data. And then it's just so that's one way with Collector. We have lots of other ways. I mean, like Gary was mentioning, the theodolite and those kinds of data collection mechanisms. But as far as going out with a GPS receiver and collecting data, well, I'd say Collector is really the best choice for that now.
And have you seen a lot of people doing as planned data from microstation plans and then as built data that they're getting?
In the field?
Yep, in the field.
I've heard people talking more and more about that. It's been a workflow that we've been showing people how they could go out into the field and do their as-built inspections and report that information back into the office. And that is certainly where people are, either buying that little add-on device to their tablet or phone to do that kind of collection. I'm trying to think of a DOT that I know that's implemented it yet. I'm not sure I know anyone I know we've done demonstrations of it several times, most recently in Utah, but I don't believe they've quite gotten to the point where their as-built engineers are going out and collecting the data in that manner.
Thanks.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Any more additional questions? Oh. Okay. Okay, Jim Snyder.
Yeah, you guys mentioned at the beginning that you've been working with Agile for a couple of years now and on the integration piece to update LRS on a regular basis via the gateway and those types of things. Can you talk about where you are at with implementation across the other states at this point?
Yeah, I may end up asking you for some help. I know North Carolina is in the very, very final throes of doing that implementation because there have been some issues that I've seen reported with data not necessarily behaving exactly as planned that are on our side that we're helping to resolve. Indiana's pretty far along in terms of, yeah, Phil, maybe you know the answer better.
North Carolina, Indiana are probably two of the farthest along. New York State's getting pretty close. I'm trying to think. Minnesota's, they're moving along, right? Who else am I forgetting?
Well, I know Georgia, I think West Virginia's on hold right now,
Yeah, West
waiting for
Virginia's on
their
hold right
ERP
now.
project to get a little farther along.
And I'm going to remember one and a half hour from now.
Yeah. I know.
So hit him in a half hour.
Well, I know I said Georgia, right? Did I say? I said Georgia.
And that was from.
They're just getting started as far as the interface goes.
Yeah, just getting started. I know Louisiana also has plans to do that integration as well.
Okay, very good. And that was Jim with Ohio DOT. Thank you, Phil. I just want to make sure we capture the full question for the audience, especially those who are online.
I guess when I hear far along, who's actually done a full process?
I know North Carolina has done a full process. They have tested the full integration of doing LRS edits and having all of that data propagate all the way through the Agile systems and make the updates. Has Indiana's done that as well?
Okay. Because I know North Carolina, I thought there was still some issues with their roads and highways in North Carolina to prevent them from doing a full
We have,
process.
I think I got the list today, updated list. There were about four or five issues that we're working to resolve, and they are on our side. There was some, I glanced over them real briefly. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
Okay, thank you, Dave Blackstone. See, Vince from Louisiana, did you have a question? Okay, Louisiana also going with roads and highways, yeah. Did I see a hand over here somewhere? Okay, any additional comments or questions? Steve? Okay, Steve Wilcox from New York State Department of Transportation.
I'm curious, we have a project where we're going to be collecting Kew Gardens down in New York City, where we're going to have the contractor collect 3D asset inventory as built. Do you have any clients who update or plan to update their asset inventories using that 3D LiDAR as built to update their inventories?
I know we have quite a few users that are using LiDAR data to capture and generate asset inventories.
Mobile LiDAR.
Mobile LiDAR, yeah. I know Utah has probably done as much as anyone, and Manly did their work. It's interesting because we don't always know the sources of the data that come into our system. We're generally helping someone with their data, and we don't always know its sources. So I apologize. I know they've gotten everything from mobile LiDAR into the GIS environment. They have an incredible asset inventory. I mean, it's just everything.
Yeah, no, we're working with Fugro generally to capture mobile LiDAR to get all our secondary assets.
Right.
But we're thinking through the process of how to actually get the as-builts in to continuously update our inventory.
Yeah. The thing I would suggest to you is simply mandate that they deliver it to you connected to your LRS if you need the assets connected to your LRS, and in an ArcGIS format ideally. One of the challenges that we have is those core data providers many times operate in the CAD world, and they're generating pictures more than they are data. And what I mean by that is they'll draw lines and put them into a computer-aided design and drafting format, and then you might lose a lot of the attribution that you would typically associate with that. So I would be careful in your specifications that you provide either to Fugro, or if it's going to be just contracted out to people to go collect as-built, is to mandate the formats that data gets delivered to you in, to make it the most easy for you to deal with.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, clearly lots of interest, I think real deep interest in what's happening with Esri and AgileAssets and the growing technical and business relationship. So please extend a very warm welcome and a warm thank you for for Gary. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thanks, Tom.